Oh,
Hello,
that's
everyone.
new.
Yeah, they've put up a little thing now. So whenever you start recording, it comes up and you have to click the OK button. My guess is that people were complaining. But hello, everyone. As you can see, Kushra is back. It's his first Zoom, so he never saw the record button that came up. So that's what happened there. But Kushra is back. He was taking care of some family issues, and he is back. So I don't have to talk to you by myself anymore. So that's really good. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure you guys like that. So this is episode 81. And Kushra, what's your background today?
It is an Emirates 777 landing in Male in the Maldives. It just looked
There.
nice.
Yes. Now, which is that the 300 ER?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell by the wingtips.
Yeah, that's the one that I flew from here, i.e. Houston to Istanbul and back. Yeah, real nice plane. Have you been to the Maldives?
Yeah.
There we go. And where did you stay, Kushra?
I don't remember the name. It was an unpronounceable island, about an hour's boat ride away. But it was
Oh,
wonderful.
okay. Was it one of the fancy places?
Well, they're all fancy, but no, this was not like $1,000 a night. This was like $200 or $300 a night.
Okay, very cool. See,
Yeah.
I have yet to go to one of the fancy places. When I went, I stayed on Hulumale, which is the island. So the airport is on an island, and then there's this little
Causeway.
yeah, so a causeway to the next island,
Yeah.
and you drive,
Yeah.
and that's Hulumale, and that's the island that I stayed on.
That's the
And
capital, right? Yeah.
no, Male is the capital, which is the
Right?
other island.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's also linked with the causeway, right?
No, no, Male is by itself. The only way to get to the other end is by boat to
Right?
Male. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's Male on one side, and then there is the where you land in the airport, and then there's a little island that's connected to that by I don't know what you call that.
It is a causeway.
Is it a causeway? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a road, but if
It's
the
not a
water
bridge.
if the water comes up, it's covered. You can't go. So, and they have a local bus, and the local bus runs from that island to the airport. So I took the local bus, of course, and then I stayed in a little bed and breakfast. But I got sick, so I was in Bali for 3 days, 2 nights, and I was sick for 2 days. I flew in on Korean, and because Korean has a flight that starts in Seoul, and it does Colombo, and then Colombo to Mali.
Okay.
And I was in Colombo for a travel meeting or a travel excursion thing. And so I did, let me go log Mali and come back. And the sandwich I had on board
Uh-oh.
made me sick.
Really?
Yes, there's something, it was stale or whatever it was, but I checked in and then they actually came up and checked on me. They're like, you didn't come down for breakfast. Are you okay? And
Is that right?
yes. And I said, yeah, I'm fine, but I am just, I have a bad stomach ache and I've been living in the bathroom since I checked in. And they were like, okay, would you like us to get you some tea? And I'm like, yes, that would be so good. And they got some tea. And I felt much better the next day. So I was able to go and explore that particular island. And then I went and actually walked around Mali. If you've ever done that.
That's a bit of a dump, the city itself.
I mean it's an interesting city, right? Because there's the port where all the boats come in, and then you have the market. There's a fish market, and then there's also another market. The interesting thing about the markets, though, is there are no women in the market.
It's a Muslim country.
Yes, everything is done by men. It's interesting. That's one of the countries that people don't. It's like Malaysia. People don't realize Malaysia is Muslim. People don't realize Maldives is Muslim, and most of the people who work in the Maldives are from Bangladesh.
And they don't even allow you alcohol. That's
No,
one of
but
the things they check.
were you able to get alcohol in the hotel you were? Okay.
Yeah, you can get it at the hotel, but you can't bring it in.
You can't bring it in. Yeah.
No.
But it was cool just walking around that island that I stayed on. It has a beach. It wasn't as posh as some of the other ones, but basically that's apart from Mali, that's the island where the people who work in the resort live.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have some little guest houses and things like that on there, but so yeah,
So anyway,
that was my Maldives experience. But I need to go back so I can do one of the overwater bungalows and all that. It's kind of funny when I showed you my pictures. They're like, "That's not the Maldives." I'm like, "Yes, it is. It's just the Maldives that you've never seen."
once we win the lottery.
Yeah, right. Oh, or partner with a brand. I was supposed to be working with that brand in the Maldives, but I haven't gotten back to them. So they're probably like, nope, but we'll see. And my background is London City Airport. I guess I can go that way. There's a bridge.
I thought there was an oil refinery on the left-hand side.
No, those are the approach
I
lights.
saw the runway lights. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
the
on the
runway.
left. On the left.
On the left. Oh, you mean, okay, over. Well, I can't show you, but on that side. No, this is the city of London. Back there. This is Canary Wharf. Down there. So and I'm standing. There's a bridge that goes over I guess that's the Thames, because the Thames is right next to it, and it goes over that, and you can stay there and watch the planes. It's right at the end of the runway, and so this was a night shot, and on the right is East London University, I think.
Okay.
It's over on the right side. But I just did a video, and actually I put the video link in here on takeoffs and landings from London City. So that's what's there. All right. So you've flown out of London City before, right?
Not into no.
Kushro, you have to do it. It is expensive. It's not cheap.
No, my one regret is not flying into Hong Kong.
See, well, you need to do London City. It is it's the takeoffs are amazing because it's steep. They have noise abatement, because you have people living on both sides of the edge of the runway. And
it's like Santa Ana, right?
Yes, exactly.
Orange County.
Yep. Have you taken off out of Santa Ana? It's like a bat out of hell, right? It's like a slingshot straight up almost. But this airport is just like that. And so and the cool thing with City Airport is that it plops you right literally in the middle of London. You walk like 2 seconds, well, a little more than 2 seconds, upstairs to the DLR. And then you're on your way.
I had to return a car there once. So that's
really?
my extent of London City Airport. Yeah. It's very easy.
I mean, the thing is that you land, you get out, you walk for maybe 2 minutes, you go to immigration, and then you get through and you customs, and you're done. You're like, and you're in the lobby. Everything is on one level. I am always amazed at how much traffic goes through that little airport. They don't fly on, I think they stop flying at 11 on a Saturday till on Sunday or something.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. There's a 12-hour period or 24-hour period that they have no flights.
But it's mainly a business airport. So you see a lot of suits in that.
Yes, it is very business because, and Lufthansa flies in Alitalia, BA.
I think SAS also.
SAS, KLM, so they all fly into there. When they had the Fokker 50s from VLM, those used to fly in. But now you get the Dornier D38s, the ERJ 190s, 175s.
220 also from Swiss.
The 220, I've never seen the 220 there. But
I remember the 318 used to fly there to JFK.
And I have some pictures of the 318 flying out of there. Never seen it land there, but I've seen it take off from there. And Lot Polish, which is whom I flew in, also flies the E190 in there. All right, so episode 81. Our first story is about in-flight magazines. As you know, most of the airlines are getting rid of the in-flight magazines and they're making them electronic, which I am still not quite a fan of. Because what am I going to read on the plane? But anyway, so United in-flight magazine goes microbial or anti-microbial. What does that mean?
So I included this because I had this experience last week on a United flight. After a very long time, I saw the in-flight magazine, but I was hesitant to touch it because I wasn't sure who had used it. And despite being vaccinated, I wasn't about to take any chances.
Makes sense.
So I let it go. And then I come back and read this article that Hemispheres is, to the best of my knowledge, the first in-flight magazine to become anti-microbial. So what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
So most airlines discontinued these in-flight magazines in 2020 as a hygiene measure to avoid, points where a lot of people were handling the same thing.
Right.
And they've only just been reinstated on some carriers. So Inc. Global, which is the publisher of Hemispheres, which is the United Airlines magazine, has signed a deal with a company called AdMaster. And AdMaster has this antimicrobial technology. It's like a coating called Biomaster that they coat each page with. And it's an antimicrobial agent that supposedly in these tests keeps the surface of the paper 99.99% free of microbes. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen TV ads, but everyone always says it's 99.99. Why is it never 100%? I guess it's covering themselves.
They don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
So they're saying, because people are going to go, you said it was antimicrobial. You said I couldn't catch something, and I did. But
this is the same material that aircraft seats are coated with, and also leather in aircraft seats as well. So It's nothing new, but this is the first time it's been extended to paper. And as I said, it has no influence on, or no effects on the appearance of the paper or the performance of the paper. And I thought this was sort of a very different approach that United is taking, because I just read that as of the end of June, American Airlines is getting rid of American Way. It's in-flight magazine. It's not even going online. They're just plain canceling it and taking it off the aircraft.
Okay.
Because they claim that passengers have several other options to get their information, and it also saves weight. But I like these in-flight magazines because, speaking just for Hemispheres, I think they have some very interesting articles, and it's nice to see the route network and other.
Yeah. My guess though, Krisha, is that American, everything like this is a money decision, right?
Absolutely.
And we know how the marketing machines behind these airlines are interesting. So any company, it doesn't matter who it is, whenever they come out and go, oh, we're doing this and it's for you. No, it's not. It's because you have looked at it and you've said, this isn't making any sense for me right now. It's causing much more issues than it can. So let me spin it and say, whatever they said. So I mean, them getting it, because American Way, I don't know if that's the first one, but it might be the oldest one that's out there.
1966.
Right. So it's been around a long time. So my guess is that people are like, well, we don't want to advertise in them anymore. And when they look at it, they probably go, well, we're not making any money from it. We are carrying around a lot of weight. So before, it's an advertiser's dream because it's in your hand, you're stuck in your seat, you can't go anywhere. But now they're competing against this.
Yeah.
I'm holding up my phone, which you can't really see online because my background is eating it. But they're competing against the phones and all the earbuds and all the other stuff that you have to. People are distracted, and people
Yep.
are bringing their own books and stuff like that. So, but it is kind of sad though to see, and not even having it online. So if it was just a matter of the weight issue, then they would just put it online. But not having it online tells me there's another story there that they're not telling us. And they don't have to, right? Yeah. That's interesting. But good.
So,
I saw there. I was trying to look. I have something here called Garmer Guard, and my screen just doesn't show anything.
yeah, it tends to eat it.
Yeah, it still eats it. These backgrounds are horrible. Okay, here it is. So there's Garmer Guard, which
What
is
is that?
it was actually on Shark Tank when they were doing this when in the height of the pandemic. And supposedly you spray it on your clothes. It botanically eliminates odor, naturally refreshes and cleanses fabrics. And it's naturally derived, biodegradable, cruelty-free. They have like a rabbit with a line across it, non-toxic, and non-GMO. I don't know what that is. What is GMO?
Genetically modified organism.
Okay. And never tested on animals, naturally derived ingredients, natural propellant, washes away with normal laundry. So you spray it on your clothes. So the idea that they had was when you went out, if your clothes picked up any virus, you can spray it on your clothes and you're good to go.
So it's antiviral then, anti-microbial as well. Okay.
Well, it doesn't say that. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the anti-microbial thing, but it's careful not to say that. Yeah, there's nothing on here.
So it's not just a whole bunch of chemicals.
Right. It is.
You can't pronounce.
Yeah, it is not. At least that's what they said. It has botanical ingredients: citric acid, water, sodium octylsulfate, lactic acid, malic acid, acetic acid, perlargonic acid, sodium olefin sulfate, ammonium. You can tell I was not a biology or a chemistry major. Ammonium alkaline, polyoxyethylene surf sulfate, and alcohols ethoxylated. Ethoxylated, it said.
Okay.
So it has a whole bunch of stuff in there.
You really need to use it? Because remember, it goes into your skin.
Well, it goes on the outside of your clothing. So what you would do is, let's say you just get off a plane. You would just spray your clothes with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what they said. I don't know if it works. There's no way to know if it works, but I think they got a backer on Shark Tank. And those you don't know, Shark Tank is a show that where entrepreneurs come on TV and they say they have products or whatever it is. And so this was one of those. But I thought it was antimicrobial, but it's not. Well, good for United. So which means that United is doing really well with the sponsors and they don't want to get rid of that.
I like their articles. I think they have some very interesting articles.
It's because you like the 3 perfect days, right?
That's getting a little, because I would never spend 3 perfect days. All they do is eat.
I know, exactly. We know what it is. And people are talking like, when I travel, I don't eat. Like I'm not.
They do. And these people have money.
Yeah. Well, the audience and Flies United does have money. But people always like, oh, I want to go out to a nice restaurant. I'm like, no, I just want to go eat from the vendor on the side of the street, as long as it's clean. I'm not the fancy restaurant person. So it's interesting when you see these articles. And people always ask me, where do you go to eat when you go somewhere? And I'm like, I don't know. Just go down the street and pick a restaurant and go. Why do I have to tell you where to go?
As local as possible.
Right, exactly. Go look for the crowds or just ask your front desk. Say, where do you go for dinner when you actually eat out? And most of them, they don't get paid very well. So they'll tell you, I don't eat out. Or they will tell you the place that you can go and you don't have to spend a fortune. Now, if you're looking for luxury, then you can always ask your concierge and say, look, tell me the place in town where you go for high-end eating. So I don't see why people ask. I understand why they ask, but I don't really see why they ask, if you get what I mean. Because if I like Jamaican food and I tell you, yep, this place has the best Jamaican food in the town, but you don't like Jamaican food, you like Italian food. You're gonna ask me where's the Italian food? I'm like, well, I don't know. Or I may tell you where a Mexican place is, and just so you know, if you see a Mexican restaurant that's not in the United States or in Mexico, don't go. The food's gonna be terrible. Just saying. But anyway, and that's from personal experience. All right, Krisha, I'm digressing again, right? Was it all you had about the United one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So the US, it's COVID, but the people who have way too much money will always tell you this is the best time to form an airline if you have a lot of money. But one, it's probably true because the planes are cheap and they're parked and they're not going anywhere.
Yes.
And the people who are creating the airline manufacturers, they have all these planes probably sitting there that they need to get rid of. So 2 airlines were formed. I already told you about the other one, but we're going to talk about Breeze.
Yes, this airline called Breeze.
So tell us about Breeze. What's going on?
Breeze is the fourth, actually the fifth. No, sorry, it's the fourth brainchild of David Neeleman, who started WestJet, Morris Air, that was taken over by Southwest, JetBlue, and Brazilian carrier Azul.
Yep.
So Breeze started operations late last month, I think. Their first route was from Tampa in Florida to Charleston in South Carolina. And also from, there was another service, and from Hartford in Connecticut to Charleston in South Carolina. What I thought was odd is that they started before they got their main aircraft, which is the Airbus 220. So what they did is that they've leased about 11 to 13 aircraft that were excess from Azul in Brazil. And they've also got them on lease from Nordic Capital, which is the leasing company.
Geez, I wonder how they got those deals.
Aircraft don't have first class, which the 220s will have. And that's coming, I believe, at the towards the end of the year. So what Breeze is focused on is point-to-point service between secondary cities in the US, and mainly to leisure destinations. So they're not going after business traffic. And they say that over 95% of the city pairs they are flying between have no competition. But that is not going to last, because most airlines are going to jump in and start competing. I mean, Avelo is seeing that as well on the West Coast with Alaska. So for now, that's Breeze's modus operandi, if you will. And they're supposed to be the nice airline, the nicest airline in the world. And in a cute twist, their fares are nice, which is the basic, the cheapest fare. You get 29 to 31 inch seat pitch with a carry-on bag. And I don't think that's like a regular carry-on. It's just a personal item.
Yeah, so it's not a carry-on.
Right. So if you buy a nicer fare, you get a slightly higher pitch in your seat comfort, and you're also allowed a carry-on bag as well as snacks that are included in the fare. Bags, you have to pay for any check-in bags, you have to pay $20 up to 3 bags. And the nicest fare is for first class on the 220s. That is coming later. There is no in-flight entertainment, but there is Wi-Fi. and there's programming that's available to you, but you have to provide your own device. What else is there? You are allowed changes to your ticket, and you're given 24 months to redeem it. It's in terms of a voucher. There's no change fees. And yeah, they plan to have 4 bases in Tampa, in New Orleans, in Austin, Texas, and in Norfolk, in Virginia. So they're sort of concentrating right now in the southeast and the northeast, if you can call it that. But I'm sure in a few months they will expand their network. And by the end of July, they expect to have 39 different routes in service with these 190 and 195 aircraft. But I believe they're supposed to be disposed of once the 220s come in.
Okay.
So it's to be seen how well they do and how long they can succeed without competition.
Yeah,
because you know the allegiance and the frontiers of the world are not going to allow this new entrant to come in and challenge them, because they follow the same principle: secondary cities to leisure destinations.
And that's why with these airlines, I'm always like, you're not doing anything new. Everything you've just said to me is being done on some other airline. So what, you're flying from Tampa to where again?
Charleston.
Tampa to Charleston. Who flies Tampa to Charleston? I mean, those 2 cities, yes, they're actually two big secondary cities. They have quite a good bit of population, and yes, people will drive. But so basically, I would think that it's people who are going to other cities that's around those 2 cities, and then they're just driving.
So one major difference that Breeze seems to think they have regarding other airlines is that they feel they have no need to fly the aircraft 12 hours a day to get money. They said 4 or 5 hours per day on average is okay for them, as they claim. And on off-peak days, the aircraft stay on the ground. I'm not sure how that works, but they also claim that they got these aircraft cheap.
I'm sure they did. He got him from Azul. So he made a sweetheart.
But I don't know how long
his own company.
That's going to last with the 220s that are new and coming from Airbus. So, but this is a smart man and he knows what he's doing. So
how do you think they got those planes from Brazil to here? That took a while, right?
No, I don't think so. It's just where they normally deliver them here, right? Because US airlines are huge in terms of using the 190s.
Well, yeah, I guess
195s.
That's true, and it's overland all the way when you think about it.
Right.
And they have nothing in them. It's not like Hawaii where on the 717s they actually put extra fuel tanks in them.
Okay.
And I need to find that picture. There's a picture where they put extra fuel tanks inside.
Because remember, they get these to Australia as well, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how they do them. They got to take out all the seats and put extra fuel tanks in. And these are extra fuel tanks like inside the plane. I need to find that 717 picture because it's actually very cool. You see the big tanks inside the plane. It's really neat. Yeah. So is he still in charge of Azul or he left?
No, I believe he's left.
Yeah.
Azul, yeah.
He's kind of odd. He's
you know what? I'm not sure because remember Azul owns part of TAP, Portugal, Air Portugal as well. And I think he was involved in that aspect. So
he knows a lot of people.
I'm not sure.
He knows a lot of people with a lot of money. So that's good.
Yes. Yes. And this was 1 month after Avelo launched, which is Andrew Levy's airline based in Burbank in California.
Well, yeah, but he's based, the headquarters is in Houston. These airlines are weird because the headquarters for Breeze is in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
but
And
he's
they
not
have this
flying.
very unique agreement with a university in Utah.
Yeah, but I heard
for
that they
the-
had to change that. I read something that said in order for them to get the flight attendants that they needed to start, they had to change
Huh.
the agreement.
Is that right?
Yes, there was
Because I
something
thought they
there was something that
still
said,
had that agreement.
well, I think they still have the agreement, but they didn't have, they couldn't get any flight attendants from that
Okay.
for the start, so they had to actually go hire regular flight attendants to do it, if I'm not mistaken.
So,
That's
okay.
what I read somewhere. But yeah, well, I need to go fly them. It's all these airlines, when they come up with all these marketing things, nice, nicer, nicest, whatever. Just give me a I think what happened is, and a lot of the airlines don't do that, right? You need to ask the consumers what they want. And we know the consumers, they want a cheap fare and they want to be able to bring their bags on board with them. So why don't you figure out a way to let them do that?
So actually, two more things I want to tell you about. Regarding this airline. You have to do, you as a passenger have to do most of the work. You have to check in online. You have to print out your boarding pass, and if you choose to do that, and you have to board yourself at the gate, because the staff on the ground are going to be limited.
Yeah.
So,
that works in Europe, but Americans don't like that. They don't. I mean, it's, and you've seen it in Europe, because that's what they've just what you just described is what, what's the one that really cheap? Ryanair. Ryanair does all that, except Ryanair actually have people who help you at the board, because people need guidance. That's what we tend to forget. People, it's
like to lose their mind once they enter an airport.
I know when my parents travel, they don't know what to do. So, and I know that's not their target, but those people will fly. And even, the millennials is who they're targeting. Like everybody is targeting millennials, but a lot of millennials are clueless.
Yep.
They don't know when you get to an airport, they just know that they have a ticket to go, but they don't really know what they need.
They're too busy looking at their phones.
Exactly. Which luckily will have boarding pass in it.
So speaking of boarding passes, Breeze wants to create a super app where you can book your ticket as well as make dinner reservations. You can reserve Airbnb rentals. You can organize airport transfers, destination attractions, and also tickets to local events.
Yawn, that's not new.
The big airline app?
Yeah, the airlines do that right now. They
really?
Yeah, they cross-sell you every time you're buying something. They cross-sell you. So it's not
in the app. I've never really seen it in the United app, but I'm probably not.
Well, the United app,
experienced.
they probably do that after, like on the booking. Look, it's a lot of fluff, right? Because all the stuff that they're saying, it's just fluff. But good luck to them. I will fly them.
You're not in a very generous frame of mind, are you?
No, because how many airlines we've seen come and go.
I know, but this guy has an enviable track record.
I know he does, but the airline he formed here in the U.S., JetBlue, is no longer the JetBlue that he formed. And
does it matter?
Well, it does, because whenever they start off these little airlines, it's like WestJet. WestJet is not the WestJet he formed. WestJet is now a full line.
Sustain it. I mean, who are we to argue, right?
No, I'm okay with that, right? I'm very okay with that. But when you come in and you're selling me something that it's not going to work. It's only going to work initially. But so what JetBlue did was JetBlue came in and gave you something that people were asking for at the time. People are addicted to JetBlue. It's like Apple. So no matter what JetBlue does, they will still fly JetBlue. No matter what Apple does, you will still buy Apple products.
Is that wrong? Is that the company's fault?
Yes.
If they change their strategy and people still
because sometimes so people buy Apple, like I bought an Apple computer and it doesn't work. It was overheating yesterday. It's not supposed to overheat. The thing said that we fixed it so it doesn't overheat. We didn't put a fan in because the whole thing about this new M1 chip is that it doesn't do all that. But it did. It was really hot yesterday. It's not hot today, but it was really hot yesterday. And so people are going to go buy Apple because they're Apple. But the thing that you just put out was no good because it has problems. And I understand that things are not going to work. But when you come out with something like Breeze saying it's simple, and when your marketing is against the other airlines, like WestJet came out and their marketing was that Air Canada sucks. But now you are Air Canada. So that's just my thing about all this. It's like, but anyway, I'm off on a tangent again. But I want to go fly Breeze. And I think I'm going to try a nice fare and then a nicer fare and a nicest fare and see which one of the fares is nicest. Just don't give people something to complain about is my thing, right? Let me check a bag. But just tell me that I have one fare, right? And if you want to take a bag, that's fine. If you don't want to take a bag, that's fine too. But it's one fare. Done. Because the problem is that people don't know what they bought. And then people go, oh, I didn't know I bought the fare that said I couldn't bring a bag. I just bought the cheapest fare. I thought I could just pay for my bag at the airport. And then you're like, oh, but...
that's the passenger's fault. To take a little bit of ownership and responsibility.
But it is also the airline's fault, right? Because what the airlines always says, well, I told you so. But you know what? When they get to the airport, it's the agent. And then if they're saying they're going to cut down on the number of people because they want to save money, then when you get to the airport, the customer is going to have a really bad experience, right? And I know that, yes, it is up to the customer to read everything, but we know that they don't do that. And because,
but then whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
It's the customer, but it's also the airline's fault because you know that the customer is not going to read what you said to them and what you're doing. Huh?
That's not the airline's problem, right? The airline is telling them, this is what it's going to be like. If you don't listen, that's your fault and your problem.
Yeah, but it becomes the airline's problem. And then what did they do? They punch the flight attendant in the face.
And they go on social media and complain.
Exactly. So what you need to do as an airline is you need to figure out a way to stop to manage a customer's expectation enough so they don't punch out your employees.
Oh, see, I disagree because customers have unrealistic expectations. They want everything without having to pay for it.
I know they do, and I do not advocate for customers hitting employees or anybody hitting anyone, right? But what I'm saying is that it happens, and it happens because people you've seen it. People get really up in person too, right? When people get really upset when you tell them, it's like people show up at the airport and you go, you're going to, when we used to get visas for Brazil, it's like, you have to get a visa for Brazil. They're like, well, I didn't know that. And now they're arguing with the agent, who's not the agent's fault. So what the airlines have done to try to help them is to constantly send them emails and say, you need a visa, you need a visa, you need to go get a visa, you need to go get a visa. But
we're creating people who are so helpless and always a victim.
Completely understand it, but this is the society that we live in, right? And because it's a society that we live in, as airlines, because people already hate the airline, they already do. They just like, I'm gonna have a bad experience, and so if you know that that's going to be the case, don't create something that is so complex. Because they have 3 different fares with 3 different rules. And I guarantee you, Prisha, people are going to buy the cheap fare and try to get there and some people are going to legitimately not know what they bought. And some people know what they bought and they try to get around it, right? And so because he's saying that I'm not going to have many airline people at the airline to take care of it. So what does that person do? When they get to the airport and it's not working, because either they made a mistake or they didn't understand what they were getting into, which happens all the time. How do you have where's the person that's going to help them? So, okay, great. You need to pay some more money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing that we just, as airlines, whenever we start new airlines, we really need to think of the customers that we're dealing with.
But I don't think it's also new. It's just new airlines. It's all airlines. Look at the number of fares on the other.
It is all airlines. And so now we get a new airline, and they created the exact same problem. You haven't solved anything, right? You haven't solved the problem that people are having. You just say, oh, I'm cool. I have nice fares. Who cares? All I want to know is that is it $39? And I am going to buy the $39 fare. I'm not going to buy the $49 just because I want to carry a bag, because I know that when I flew on another airline, I can just go to the gate and they'll check it for me. But now there's a new airline, and that's not going to happen. And now I'm going to argue with the gate agent. But wait a sec, there is no gate agent because I'm the one checking in myself. So you've created problems that, and can't wait for the first thing to happen. As soon as the first thing happens, they're going to
weather delays or an aircraft maintenance issue.
You know, something is going to happen. It's going to get triggered, and then they're going to be. All you have to do is complain to the DOT once, and then all hell breaks loose, and they have to go. Oh yeah, now we're going to hire more people, or we're going to get rid of the nice fare and just have the nicer and the nicest fare. It looks good on paper. Sorry. I'm the customer advocate, right? So I always have to, and
not yes, always right.
The customer, they're not always right. I agree with you. They are not always right. However, though, we just need to. We need to be.
Unfortunately, the customer gets their way. More sometimes, even when they're wrong.
Exactly. And being someone that used to be the customer service person in the back end that always fixes the problems, even when you fix the problem, even when you give the customer exactly what they ask you for,
they want more.
Still want more. So I think he's just creating problems for his employees, and I don't agree with that. But let's talk about Southwest. Or is that all you had for Breeze? Is it all you had for Breeze, or that's it? Oh wait, say again?
No, that was.
Okay, that was it. All right.
It was anything but a breeze to get through.
Exactly. But even speaking of that, Chris, we're talking about customers and their behavior as a result of customers being weird on flights. The U.S. Airlines, some of them, has said no liquor. Tell us what's going on.
No alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
So Americans who started this, because there had been a spate of incidents of outright violence against crew. I'm not sure it was alcohol induced, but it was just people being weird and not knowing their limits.
Mm-hmm.
But Southwest started it by announcing there would be no liquor on sale, no liquor on board, period, in an attempt to curb this this bad behavior by passengers.
Is that temporary?
American then, no, Southwest has not announced when they're going to resume sales.
Okay.
American then jumped in and said they were going to suspend all alcohol sales in the economy cabin until September 13th, at least September 13th.
As now, if people ironically, who fly first class don't get upset, right? When they get drunk. Carry on.
But September 13th is also when the FAA lifts the mask mandate, at least as of now.
The next one, yeah.
So yes, so the policy is going to be reviewed as of September 13th. But you can still get a drink in the air in first and business class on American Airlines. Of course, those two cabins are not present on Southwest, but there's no pre-departure drink on American. Delta, for some reason, has not found it necessary to do this, and they resumed their liquor sales, I believe, in May, as did Alaska. And Frontier and Allegiant never seemed to have had a problem. United said it was restarting alcohol, I think soon in June, but now they've modified it and said that only flights that are longer than 800 miles would get alcohol, compared to 200 miles the last time around. So they've modified their procedure as well. So I'm not sure why American and Southwest and maybe United are having this problem mainly, but it all stems from the fact that there's been a lot of violence on flights, in particular about this case that I believe you spoke about, where a Southwest flight attendant had lost 2 teeth after being hit by an idiot passenger on one of his flights. So
it's great. The thing about alcohol is, I think they need to come up with, again, right? The flight attendants are the one policing the policy.
They're the ones on the front line.
They're the ones on the front line. You probably need some kind of minimums, because from a customer standpoint, people are going to be like, well, I'm okay. I never do this. I fly all the time, and I just want to get a drink because, I paid for first class. This is what I paid for. Right? I paid so I could drink as much as I want, so I could get drunk and go to sleep. That's one side of the coin.
But see, that really hasn't changed, though.
Well, unless I'm in first class, right? If I'm in first class, I can still drink and go to sleep as much as I want.
Right.
But what it does, it makes it sound like the people who fly first class aren't the ones who get belligerent, which,
for the most part, that is true, though.
Yeah. Well, that's what's happened so far.
Yes. Yes.
It's a tough one. I'm glad I don't have to make this decision because I can see the revenue aspect of it, right? Where they're saying, because alcohol sales people drink a lot of alcohol on planes. So they're taking a hit. It's like, we're already not making any money. What's going, how we,
So
this is a tough call. So they need to figure that out. I would think though, and this policy has always been there where flight attendants, if you look drunk, no more alcohol for you. But you know how people get when they get drunk?
Yep.
And you try to stop them from drinking, that's when they get weird.
No, these people need to be punished severely.
They do. So I understand from the airline standpoint that they want to make money. I understand from the consumer standpoint that you're taking away something from me because some people are idiots. Why can't you just handle the people who are idiots? Why can't you just look at a person, because you can tell, and go, I'm not giving you any more alcohol. But they're going to be, well, I'm not drunk. I can drink 6 bottles of beer. And like, well, yeah, at your home, but you're not at your home. You're in our house now. So, and I'm telling you, you can only drink this much. So maybe if it's something that you say in your policy, you say, look, in economy class, I'm only going to serve you 1 drink. And, whatever it is, just like how you make me agree to the terms and conditions of the ticket, make me agree to the terms and condition of the alcohol sale or something.
But who reads those, though? Speaking of passengers not reading.
Right. Again, they won't read it, but at least they've agreed to it. And if they get in trouble, then you can arrest them or something.
They don't know they have terms and agreements.
Yeah.
That they're supposed to have read.
Yeah. So again, right, it's up to communication. But you really have to let people know, just say, make an announcement when you come on. We're only serving you one drink. That is it. Because you can't see, you didn't hear that. I'm in the cabin, because they say it, right? Whenever alcohol is open for sale.
They say that, right? They'll be on their phone on some unnecessary call, or they'll be sleeping.
You do it just before the drink service. And when they come over, you didn't hear, you said, I'm sorry, we're only doing 1 alcohol service, and that's it. So you have to make changes. I wonder what Breeze is going to do.
You have to buy everything, though, right? On Breeze.
Well, that doesn't stop people who want to drink have a drink.
because with the nicer fare on Breeze, you get a snack. So I don't know how they would distinguish these passengers. That's complicated as well.
You have a sticker on your forehead that says nice. It's probably where they sit on the plane, is my guess.
Well,
and what if
maybe, yes,
it might be where they sit, yeah. And what if you bought a nice affair, but you saw a nice seat in the back, or you saw somebody sitting in a nice seat that you like, and you go and sit next to the nice person, but you're from the nicer area.
Or vice versa. If nicer is open and people move up.
Yeah, well, you can't move up unless you get invited, right?
Well,
I'd tend to be like, I'm sorry, sir, this nicer seat is taken. You need to go back in your nice seat.
They're supposed to be the world's nicest airline, so will they do that?
Is that like
we will see?
Is that like Google saying they're not evil?
So anyway.
Oh my God. All right, Kusha. So
yes, we were talking about Southwest.
Yes. And what do you have? Another story on Southwest. What's going on?
So this is, again, it doesn't sound like much, but I think it's a great idea. It's their Repurpose with a Purpose initiative that Southwest has announced. This was on their on the Southwest blog. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but there is. So what they have done since 2019 is they have partnered with a Mexican company called Barmex that is based in Mexico City.
Okay. And
to recycle more than £1 million, which is about 500,000 kilos of aircraft seat covers. Now, they've been doing this since about 2016, and Southwest has all leather seats. So what they've done is that they partnered with this company called Barmex to produce 1,500 hand-produced soccer balls or footballs from these Southwest Airlines seat covers. They're based in this town called Chichihualco, which is in Guerrero State, which is where Acapulco is. And it was once the center of production of handmade soccer balls that were made by local families in the area for decades. The industry, for some reason, has died down. So Southwest has sort of reinvigorated it, and they've engaged with 3 nonprofits, YMCA Mexico, the Save the Children, and Special Olympics Mexico, to use the balls. And they plan to do this through 2020 and 2021. And I have to say, the balls look pretty spiffy in their blue and gray color schemes. They look very different. Yeah. I think that's such a good idea.
So where did this covers come from?
Their aircraft, because they have to replace the seats covers every so often.
So it's just
instead of just discarding them, yes.
Yeah, it's a way to use them. That's actually quite good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
See, airlines do cool stuff every now and again.
Yeah.
Well done, Southwest. Well done. All right, so we're gonna move to Europe, and what's Wizz Air doing?
So this must have been quite a humiliation for Wizz Air, because for a while they looked unstoppable. They were expanding left, right, and center and instilling fear in all their competitors.
Abu Dhabi.
Yes. Until they came to Norway. They started domestic Norway in November 2020.
We had talked about
that. We talked about this. Barely 6 months ago. They were going to, by Wizz Air's own estimates, they were going to triple traffic from 2 million passengers in 2019 to more than 6 million by 2023. Well, guess what? In 6 months, Wizz Air, unfortunately or not, put their tail between their legs and skedaddled out of Norway, effective June 14th. So not much notice at all. And this was announced May 29th. But you'd be amazed to know the reason why.
Because the Norwegians don't like them.
Yes, because it is a non-union airline, fiercely anti-union, and the Norwegians, the Scandinavians, really with their, I don't want to call it, what is it, where, there's a lot of social assistance and unions and all that sort of thing. So right off the bat, Wizz Air was in trouble when they started fighting with the Norwegian authorities regarding unionizing their Norwegian staff.
Yeah, stupid.
So they started out on the wrong foot. But what they claimed that the decision to quit Norway or inter-Norway flying was based on financial and commercial assessments. The last months of operations have shown that it is not commercially and financially sustainable to operate in Norway while facing competition, which really sounds a little disingenuous because they do face competition from Ryanair and EasyJet in other parts of Europe. But other airlines in Norway have received financial assistance, but Wizz Air did not because it's not a Norwegian airline.
Correct. All right, the Hungarian.
So one of the main reasons they cited as to their quitting Norway was this thing called Flygskam. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's FLYGSKAM, which is translated into flight shaming. And this was started by none other than Greta Thunberg.
Oh, really?
Yes, to get Norwegians to stop flying and instead take more green alternatives, like trains, for instance.
That's kind of sad that they're doing the bullying thing.
Well, they estimate that, where is this number I'm looking for? These conditions have, where did I see this? It's actually accounted for about a 9% drop in inter-Norwegian traffic in the past 2 years, this Flygskam, this flight shaming.
Yeah.
And
how did they know that?
How do they not know that? That's another thing. Considering they've been so adept at expanding, how do they not estimate that? And how do they not know that before they went in? Because they went in all guns blazing with a lot of bravado, how they were going to take over Norway and all that, inter-Norway flight. But
that's like Uber. When Uber goes into a country, they do that kind of crap. And then locals are like, you can't do that. And they're like, oops, sorry. And you're out. Yeah.
So no surprise, but Avinor, which is the company that manages most airports in Norway, is not at all bothered by this because they say the capacity of Norwegian, SAS, and this new airline called Flyer have sufficient capacity, and the withdrawal of Wizz Air is not going to affect anything at all.
Yeah, they were just a thorn in people's side. I mean, you and I talked about it. It was like, well, why are they flying in there? They have enough airlines to serve Norway.
Yes. Yeah. So this is actually the first time that I've heard of where Wizz Air has had its wings clipped, so to speak.
Well,
but
yeah,
maybe they'll be a little bit more careful the next time,
and just a little nicer to the locals.
Yeah, and unions especially.
You know, I mean, so, that's one of those they didn't take the time to understand the local culture fully.
See, but that's so counter to anything Wizz Air does, though. It's right? Because they've gone from success to success. And maybe they got a little arrogant.
Yeah, well, and you know, Norwegians don't do low fares. I mean, it's
Norwegian, right?
Well, yeah, but it's Norwegian. So and I think Norwegian knew how to approach the marketplace and make it work.
So
and it's some rich Norwegians that owns Norwegian, right? So you have like anything else, you just have to know the marketplace, know who the players are, and apparently Wizz Air didn't do a very good job at that, so they got kicked.
So here's the numbers I was looking for. In 2018, this Fligscam, which is this flight shaming, was attributed, I don't know how they did this, for a 3% drop in domestic air traffic. Now, that doesn't sound like much.
I think they made that up.
It sounds like it. But in 2019, it was 9%. Now, again, how do they ascribe this to Fligscam?
Yeah, how do you measure that?
Yes.
I don't believe all that.
So,
and I also don't believe in flight shaming.
But that is a thing, right? Because France is considering the same thing, right?
It is
banning flights of less than 2.5 hours by train.
Yeah, but the whole, I don't believe in shaming people for doing what they want to do. Just because you think trains are better. Trains are better for you, but I want to fly. I don't want to take a train.
That's not the way Europe works.
But it's my personal preference. You know, so, and I don't think that people should, it's bullying. And we talk about not bullying people. And this is exactly what you're doing. You're telling me that, oh, you're taking a flight and all you're doing is going to the next city. Well, it's none of your business. I can do whatever I want.
Well, apparently that's not good enough for the Greens, the environmentalists. Maybe we do need to get a little more aggressive. Otherwise, people are just not going to change their attitudes.
Well, but you don't, the whole shaming thing is not.
So what's the alternative?
Sort
of difficult, right?
It is difficult, but Krisha, if I want to fly, I don't tell me I can't take a train. I want to fly, and if I want to take a train, then I want to take a train. I may not like trains. You know what I mean? It's
yes.
Yes,
I do. But
I just don't. I don't like when people bully others and shame you, and people do that on the internet a lot. And it's like, it's none of your damn business what I do with my money. I get what
it's mostly on the internet. I would, not that I would know because I'm not the social media expert, but a lot of it is cowardice, right? Because they can hide behind their persona.
You can totally hide behind a persona. Exactly. And it's like, who are you to tell me that I can't take a train if I want to? You know, or take a plane if I want to. You know, and then you and a whole bunch of people just start pouncing on me just because I decided to fly instead. And some of the airlines, I think, wasn't it KLM, the CEO came out and said something about that initially, about the whole.
About what is this?
He said something, he came out and he said something about, God, I can't remember now. Something about you should actually fly longer distances rather than take a plane or something like that.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Maybe I just missed it.
There was some statement that he said, which I don't know if that was it wasn't a part of the flight shaming thing, but there was something about similar to what we talked about with Air France, saying that you know, you should only fly. You should.
But see, this is the French Parliament, though.
Yeah.
Right, the Senate saying that.
But again, it's the same thing. You're trying to tell people how to live their lives. And it's like, seriously? But I don't like trains. I don't want to take trains. Planes are safer than trains. Yeah, so I just don't get it. But why can't we just stop bullying people? I don't like bullying. But too bad for Wizz Air. I guess they'll change their strategy for the next country they try to boldly go.
First thing I said, how did they not know this?
Because they thought they could get away with it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What they should have done was find a local Norwegian investor that would be the front man, and he would talk or she would talk, and then they would get away with it. But yeah, bizarre.
But see, they've gotten away with it so far, though, right?
In other places?
Yeah. Well, maybe they got a little
But
overconfident.
yes, yes. I still don't understand Abu Dhabi, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's fly over to Asia. I saw this story and I was like, no, not the A380s. So
Is
as you
this
know, a lot of airlines,
Qantas or
this
Malaysia?
is Malaysia. Yeah, a lot of airlines have parked their A380s. And yeah, we thought that Malaysia would have survived, but nope.
This was not the right aircraft for Malaysia at all, because it's a small airline and this plane was just way, way too big. It was only flying certain routes, and they've been wanting to get rid of it since 2016. They have 6 of them. There's an entire maintenance line at Kuala Lumpur to take care of these aircraft.
Yeah.
And as I said, they've been white elephants in the Malaysia fleet, because they've flown only select routes, mainly to London and some other cities in Europe and Australia. They've tried to lease them out, but they haven't had any takers. As I said, since 2016. And what is even more ironic is that they held on to them for all this while. But as part of the restructuring, what Malaysia wants to do is to become more than just an airline. They want to do more maintenance work, this MRO, and also cargo, because that's where the real money is. So they reasoned by getting rid of their 380s, they could free up this one maintenance line at KL and use it to maintain maintain the aircraft for other airlines. So that's part of their revitalization campaign. And unfortunately, the 380 was one of the casualties.
Oh, man.
So I'm not sure what they're going to do with them, because they really, I don't believe, have flown a lot of hours. But I doubt they're going to have an easy time finding buyers for these aircraft. So it would be a real shame for them to be parted out at such a young age, but
yeah,
such is life.
I know. And
So,
the interesting about A380 is that it was such a big fanfare, right? It was the most environmentally friendly airplane.
how quickly things change.
That's because it's marketing, right? And that's the problem that we have in the aviation industry. There's so much.
Per passenger, it is.
Yeah, but there are other things, right? There are other things other than environmentally friendly, which I'm okay with. But you also have to think of the the financial side of it, right?
Yeah.
And it just
pandemic
it didn't make financial sense, and the pandemic. So
yep,
you got to look right for the airline, and not to mention that Malaysia, they've just had so much issues, and they've never come back since their plane disappeared and the one that got shot down.
Yeah,
you know, it's
and
it probably is going to take a while for them to even.
There's been so many rumors about the airline being liquidated.
Yeah.
And Firefly taking over, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I know it is kind of crazy,
because it's a prestige thing.
It is a prestige,
because Thai is in the same boat, right?
Yes, and hopefully, and they still can't fly to the US. I was hoping that they would clean that up, but they still can't fly to the US.
So
crazy. All right.
What's the next topic?
I was searching and I did find a thing about the KLM CEO. What he was talking, so they've actually done, they have flights that go between Belgium and Amsterdam. And hold on just one sec. I have to remember where this was, 136. So the KLM thing. He said that in a June 29 open letter from CEO Peter Elbers, KLM said it was asking its readers to make responsible decisions about flying. So The letter is part of the airline's larger Fly Responsibly program, which was launched in June 2019 with the aim of helping to make air travel more sustainable. Flying is terrible for the environment, with the aviation industry alone making up 2% of global carbon emissions, is what they had in parentheses. I don't know if that came from the statement or not. It said, already KLM stands out for its eco-friendly efforts. The airline recycles 14 kinds of waste on each flight, upcycles all uniforms to cabin carpeting, has paper-free cockpit, and maintains electric vehicles on the ground. The airline today uses fuel that's 57 times more sustainable than it when it used in 2011. So, and something that they're doing, which I didn't realize, is they are between Brussels and Amsterdam, which takes about 2 hours. They are actually not flying that route. They're going to use trains, apparently, because they want to get their zero emission thing that they're all trying to get to. So that's one of the things. So there's a bunch of article about them not flying anything under 2 hours because they want you to take the train, but it's probably tied into the France mandate.
But then all of, like, I'm sure Hamburg, Amsterdam is also 2 hours, right? So all that's going away?
They were only talking about, because they started it in 2019. It says KLM, Thales, and NS Dutch Railways have joined forces to replace flights between Brussels and Amsterdam.
Okay.
This is already effective March 29, 2020. They will replace one of its daily service between Brussels and Amsterdam with seat capacity aboard the Thales high-speed trains. In recent months, KLM, Thales, and NS Dutch Railways have developed a long-term plan to reduce the number of flights between Brussels and Schiphol. The basic premise being that the product should match its current appeal to customers.
Okay.
But I don't want to take the train. I want to fly. Partly I can't. So that's what's going on. So that's what I had read. All right. So we're up to Qantas getting some press.
Yes. So I have two stories on Qantas. So this was a weird one. Again, I'm not sure this is that out of the ordinary, but there was a recent 60 Minutes Australia story about Qantas being, as they called it, infiltrated by organized criminals. And I'm not sure that was a really fair headline.
No,
but
clickbait.
Yeah, it's clickbait. What long and short of it is that they found that about 150 employees of Qantas at most of the major cities were involved in criminal activities that were a threat to national security. Okay. Now, given that Qantas has over 30,000 employees, 150 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still concerning. So what they discovered, apparently, this was a project called Brunello. They determined that quote unquote significant number of Qantas staff are linked to criminality, including, as they said, trusted insiders of a motorcycle gang affiliate linked to a very well-known cartel boss called Hakan Ayik. Now, this is a Turkish guy. He's actually Australian. He's currently hiding in Turkey. And I don't know if you heard the news in the last 2 days about this big takedown of criminals with this app called Anom, where it really was an FBI-backed chat app, if you will. And they managed to infiltrate all these criminal organizations in several dozen countries. And this guy was apparently one of the main people who inadvertently helped the FBI and the Australian border forces. So it's mainly due to drug smuggling. And they found several cases of Qantas staff being involved in nefarious activities. They've also found 7 Qantas people involved in child exploitation, including a network of sex offenders at Brisbane Airport. Now, again, I'm fairly certain this is happening at all airlines in some way, shape, or form, because I know United had the same issue with some San Juan staff in Puerto Rico. But this got a lot of attention because Qantas is the only commercial airline in Australia holding what is called a trusted traveler accreditation, which with the Australian Border Forces, which means that every single employee hired by Qantas has to pass very stringent tests set up by the border force. And Qantas, of course, was very strong in its denial that it was involved in this or didn't know about it, because they said they hadn't heard anything untoward from the border forces about these employees. But nonetheless, this has been exposed, and Qantas has a lot of red faces, but I'm sure this will all die down once things calm down, if you will. But I just thought this was worth mentioning. Have I lost you?
Sorry, that's crazy. I had the thing on mute. There's some background noise. So I was trying to keep it out.
Okay.
That's crazy. I mean, seriously. So, what did the newspaper just decided to do a story, or they got a tip off, or?
Here's the thing: this Project Brunello that was organized by the Australian Border Forces was released in July 2020. So why did this come out in June 2021?
They might have had an embargo on it or something. They were probably still doing some investigation.
Yeah, but I mean, they sat on it for a year. None of these employees was fired.
Well, that happened.
Caught.
They might have been doing an investigation, and the story just finally came out. Or
they released the report though.
Yeah, there was probably enough grief happening in 2020. They figured that people could handle it now.
This is true. This is true. Yes.
Oh,
so
God.
Lots of mid-level manager positions at Sydney operations, Perth, and Brisbane Airport.
That's crazy.
So
I'm pretty sure they're going to fire them all, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
but
insane.
Don't you think this happens at all airlines? And these people just got caught?
Yeah, we just don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen.
Yep.
I mean, because think about it, right? I was on a flight coming back from Mexico, and the pilot was like, I hate this flight. And he goes, because I always go to secondary from this flight. So,
What does that mean?
So whenever you come in from, whenever I go to Mexico, sorry?
Secondary screening?
Secondary screening.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And he says that particular flight always have secondary screening. And so he hates working it.
Okay.
Yeah, not that he's carrying anything in, but it's just a lot of hassle. And same thing for, I had nothing, and the guy checked everything. And then I said to him, I go, are you looking for something in particular? I can help you. He goes, no. And he gave me this straight look.
Shut up.
I had to shut up. Exactly. I'm doing my job. Which is fine. I had nothing to hide. But everybody on that flight went through secondary screening. So, yeah, I mean, And you see these people with so much stuff, and you wonder, like, well, but you just went for a weekend. What do you? or you're overnighting. You flew in last night, and you're flying on the next day. What do you have in that bag? So yes, yeah, I guess that kind of stuff does happen. Welcome to our industry. All right, so you have more news on Qantas, right?
Yes. So I'm not even sure why we're mentioning this, because this is really nothing new, but it was on CNN of all places.
Yeah.
And I guess it was one of these cute stories. And it involves the 380s. So, I mean, no surprise, lots of people know that Qantas has stored most of their 380s in California, in the desert, the Mojave Desert.
Yep.
And when you store these aircraft, you have to cover up all sorts of things, like the wheels and the brakes and the engines and all the orifices of the aircraft surface and things like that.
Yep.
Well, for some reason, this was an article in CNN that the 380s in particular were attracting rattlesnakes and scorpions. Now, these are very common in the desert.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were hiding in the wheel wells and in the wheels that were warm, because these aircraft have to be constantly moved, to make sure the wheels maintain their roundness and things like that.
And they have to be flown, because I saw
yes, they have to be flown.
Yeah,
yes,
one of the A380s.
So these aircraft require periodic checks. The fuel needs to be drained, and this and that. Other fluids need to be, flushed and things like that. So what they were discovering is that these Qantas engineers were getting nasty surprises from these rattlesnakes and scorpions. So they devised this scheme where they bought broom handles. Apparently they bought 11 or 12 broom handles. They used each of them individually for each A380 that was on the ground. And before any of these engineers would start their checks, they would go around banging the aircraft with these broom handles to scare away the snakes and the scorpions. And that is, in essence, was the gist of the story on CNN. So the fact is that these aircraft, because they're so heavy, they have to maintain the roundness of the wheels.
Right.
So they have to keep moving them.
Yep.
So the engineers were constantly having to go up to these planes and perform all this work. And that was when they were being surprised, if you will, by these what are snakes called?
Snakes and stockhead reptiles.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that none of them were scared of reptiles.
Seeing a rattlesnake wouldn't be particularly endearing. But
dude, I grew up in the country in Jamaica, and scorpions are terrible things.
I know they are.
So yeah, I would not be.
They're natural to their environment there in the desert. But
yeah, but no. See, you know what's interesting about this is that we've learned so much about our industry, right? And there was something else that came up recently where there is those hotels in Las Vegas. The maintenance people, they would have to go and flush their toilets and turn the waters on every so often. Yeah. So what they will do, they will start at one end and they would in each room, they would turn on the pipes. Then they would do that for every room, and they walk to the end of the room, and then on their way back, they would turn them all off again.
Oh my God, what a colossal waste of water.
Well, the problem is apparently if the water sits and doesn't go anywhere, you get legionnaires.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yes.
God.
Yes, there's a high propensity of legionnaires. And they had stats. I need to find the story and send it. We should have included it for this.
That was a big deal in the 80s, right?
Yes.
Legionnaires' disease?
Exactly. And so they were talking about it, like this is a big deal. Of course, it's not around anymore. But with all these hotels that have been sitting there and not being
But wouldn't that be in all hotels everywhere around the world? Or no?
I would think so, but I assume that they were doing it in other places, right? But it just goes to show that all the little things that still have to be done,
Yeah,
although
you never hear about these.
yeah, you never hear about them. I'll try to find the story. I thought it was actually quite interesting. Same
So
thing with the planes, right? I mean, I saw the one about them flying A380 every now and again just to make sure
yeah,
everything is still good.
yep. And
Um,
they take them to LAX, which is, so it's not a very long flight, but
yeah,
it's still a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. Still a lot of fuel and stuff to. And then somebody was like, why didn't they keep them in Alice Springs or something? And I think they said that they didn't have any room.
And maintenance also,
Yeah,
facilities.
right. So they couldn't end up doing that. So
Yeah,
that's why they jet them off to.
because that's where the Singapore aircraft are,
Yeah.
Alice Springs.
So it's
So
after all this is over, there'll be a whole story again because there was one on what happened to the planes, and it'll be good to see another one on something like where the planes were stored. And I think the UK is just opening up, so maybe at some point we can go to the UK and see where all those 747s are being stored before they get flown out
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, they're probably all flown. Actually, the one in Spain, Teruel,
Yeah,
in Spain. I don't know if that still has all the BA 380s or not.
yeah, it's
And that airport in France as well. I forget.
yep.
Not Courchevel.
Yeah, I forget what the one. It's near Toulouse or something somewhere there. I think
I forget.
I'm not mistaken.
So,
All right, cool story.
so
So we have two more.
yes,
We have a mega episode. Right? It's almost 2 hours, but it's
it
fine.
is not. Is it really?
Close. We're at an hour and 53, but I think we started at 30, so we're like an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right, airports. Stockholm. I know they have Orlando and there's another one starts with B. I didn't realize they had more than one airport until when
Yes.
I was actually there. I was looking up. I'm like, oh, there's another one. I've not flown into either, but what's going on with them?
So this is
I shouldn't say
Bromma
either. I
Airport.
haven't flown into the other one.
Bromma Airport. There's actually a third.
Yeah, it starts with a V or something.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. A third Stockholm airport. Bromma is 7 kilometers, which is about 4 miles from the city.
Uh-huh.
And this is set up to close permanently. Now, the reason I mentioned this is that this is the third busiest airport in Sweden. So to close this sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but apparently it does. So remember we were talking about Flixcam in Norway,
Uh-huh.
about being one of the reasons why Wizz Air was booted out. Well, that's been happening in Sweden as well. So
It's the Scandinavian thing.
yes, it's a Scandinavian thing. The pandemic, which has devastated traffic, and as they say, the growing Swedish social sentiment called Flixcam movement, led by environmental activist Greta Thunberg, are two of the reasons why traffic has plummeted at Bromma. The airport has been in operation since 1936, and about 2.5 million passengers annually visited or transited Bromma. It was the third busiest airport in Sweden after Stockholm, Arlanda, and Gothenburg. And today there are only flights to Malmo, to Gotland Island Visby, which is the VBY code, or Angelholm, AGH. There are only 3 destinations. And the 2020 traffic was only 480,000 passengers all year. And in March 2021, only 6,000 passengers transited Bromma. So this has been down 97% since 2019. Now, so closing it was even more ironic because they just built a new terminal at this airport, and they just put in a lot of investment into this airport. And it was also the headquarters of Brathens Regional. And the weird part is that this was their hub, Stockholm, Bromma, and Brathens agreed to have it shut down. So,
Pressure.
yeah, probably political pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they haven't yet announced when they're going to do it, but it's most probably going to be as soon as the public inquiry is finished, possibly by the end of this year.
Yeah, people are going to regret
So,
these decisions, Krishna.
well, they don't think so, because given the
They don't
fact
think
that
so now.
right, but it's prime land, and they think it's going to be primo real estate for housing developments because it's so close to the city.
Geez, I wonder who's benefiting from this. I wonder who was behind all this. I don't
So,
know, Krishna. There's never a smoke without fire. Never.
but the fact that there's no traffic,
Well, duh, nobody's going anywhere.
right?
And I'm reading, they actually have 4 airports. It's Arlanda, Bromma, Kabsta, and Vasta.
That's the other one. Okay.
So there's 4 of them. So now there's only 3. We're
So they saw this trend of falling traffic, but yet they built a new terminal that's fairly new.
well, because the traffic was falling because of COVID.
Yeah, that accelerated it.
Yes. So and so obviously that's the reason. And you can't really look at those numbers and decide, oh yeah, we're gonna close it, we're gonna close an airport because of that. Otherwise, all the airports around the world will be closed.
Well,
I don't like that decision. I don't like this, what's happening here, because so what happened to the traffic? It's not going to stop people from flying.
well, a lot of people were, I don't know why, they were switching to Arlanda. But I guess airlines stopped just flying to Bromma for whatever reason.
COVID.
Yeah, but that wouldn't explain the declining traffic at Bromma, right?
Well, but if nobody's going, if nobody is flying, right, and the airlines are cutting routes just because, but I guarantee you it's going to be open up again.
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. I don't like what's happening here. I don't like the whole, especially since now they're like, oh, let's go build some houses there. At least in Germany, when they closed, what's that other one?
Tempelhof. Yeah, they kept it.
They kept it, right? It was like, it's there. It could actually be, the runway is closed, but if they had to land something in an emergency, I'm pretty sure they could. And Tegel, Tegel's now closed, but I don't think they're gonna, I think they're probably gonna do something very similar, make it into a park again or something. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't like it. Sure. I just don't like it. All right, we got one more story.
Yes.
We're talking about aircraft and freighters. What's going on?
So Boeing has been having a little trouble selling this 777X, which is the -8 and the -9.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to have entered service in 2020, I believe. Then it was pushed to 2021, and then of course the pandemic put an end to that. Now I believe it's 2022 or 2023. A lot of airlines have been cutting back because, again, this is a very large aircraft, and given the post-COVID trends, more airlines are focusing on smaller, more efficient aircraft, if you will, that are capable of point-to-point service, like the 787 and the 350. So unfortunately, the 777X is caught up in the same situation that the A380 has suffered. Not perhaps as dramatically, but it's in the same boat. So Boeing really hadn't considered a freighter version of it, but Qatar has been making noises about wanting one.
Of course.
So Boeing has now decided to offer Qatar a freighter version of this aircraft, even though it has not been approved by the board. Now, this comes curiously in the wake of Airbus shopping around for customers for a potential A350 freighter. Now, Qatar has about 30 all Boeing 777 freighters, and they're looking to replace them. Airbus is seeking to make a dent in Boeing's freighter um, supremacy in the market because
Okay.
really Airbus has no comparable aircraft apart from the 330, which has not been very successful.
Yeah.
So they've been shopping around the 350. And I don't know if you heard recently, but Qatar has been in this sort of mystery fight with Airbus about a 350 because when they repainted a recent 350 that had been grounded, I believe in Toulouse, they found that the surface of the aircraft had degraded, whatever that word means, to an extent that should not have been so.
Wow. Okay.
So Qatar has declared that it is not accepting any more deliveries of 350s until this problem is solved or the root cause is discovered.
And we know how
So,
powerful they are.
so people are just thinking that this is a crafty way of Qatar not really wanting to accept any more planes as of now. And they're seeking to defer deliveries without having to pay the penalties. Now, remember, Qatar is the biggest customer for the 350. I believe they have 56 of them, and they're expecting 23 more. 53 of them they have currently, and they're expecting 23 more. So they have a lot of clout with Airbus. But no one is really sure why they're picking this fight, but a lot of cynics are estimating that it has to do with the fact that they don't want to accept delivery of any new aircraft without paying penalties. And this might be one means of setting Boeing against Airbus. Now, that may be a very cynical way of looking at things, but Al Bakr is no idiot.
No,
I mean, he's built this
he knows
aircraft, this airline very, very successfully.
yeah, he knows what he's doing.
So it's to be seen if other carriers take the bait and order this plane as well. But there's no question that a new 777 freighter is in the offing. Now remember that the 300ER is also coming online with the used Emirates planes. So,
I mean, I get it. It makes sense. They probably just thought they could get away with it with just not doing 777 freighter, a 7X freighter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't planning it, but who knows if they
But I don't
were
know
or not.
why, because they have the 777 freighter. Like, what would be the difference between, because the 777 freighter that they have out there now, that's pretty new. It
It's
hasn't been
about
around that long.
10, 12 years.
So what's the difference between that and the new one?
See, the Middle East Airlines keep their aircraft for about 10 to 12 years before they get rid of them.
Okay. But yeah, but
that's typical of that.
But in terms of a freighter, I mean, like,
and it's a much bigger aircraft, right? The 777-9X. It's a much bigger aircraft.
More capacity, more range.
More range, yes. Even though they have the 748, Qatar does.
And yeah, but like, how far do you want to fly the planes without stopping? I mean, the 777s already stop you from stopping in Anchorage from Asia to the US, right? You don't have to stop in Anchorage anymore. The current cargo from the Doha cargo comes straight to Houston from the Middle East. So where do you want to go? You have to.
Well, cargo is big business, and anywhere you can go faster, it's going to be good for you. So,
but you still need. I mean, if you're going to go further, you need more crew.
True. But remember, these planes only require 2 people, right? So
right.
At most you need 4.
Right. You do.
Well, but you need flight attendants as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, probably just one.
So, yeah, for the doors and the meals and this and that.
Yeah.
But-
And I think that's probably why Boeing is like, well, we don't really need one because the current 777 is fine. So, I mean, because if you think about it, right, it goes everywhere. You don't need another one because you don't need more range because I can already give you the range.
Well, you get better fuel efficiency, if that matters, and it does, I think.
I think it does, but I thought that 7X has the better wings or something like that.
Yes, the composite wings and the new wings.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that sounds a little. I could understand why Boeing would make one because I'm like, you don't need one, but no one can convince Al Baker he doesn't need something if he thinks.
Yeah, he wants to get 30 of them. So to replace.
And he's very good at pitting Airbus against Boeing.
Yes,
he's like, well,
he's brilliant.
If you don't make it, I'm going to ask Boeing. I'm going to ask Airbus. And of course, Airbus wants the business. They're like, okay, you go design a 350, a dash 1000 freighter.
If ever both of them say, screw you, we're not going to do it. What would he do? Who would he turn to? No one.
Yeah, but they won't.
They won't.
They won't. It's money, dude.
Yep.
They won't. Yeah. I mean, because if you look at the books, they probably have quite a large sum.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And the whole on order and all that kind of stuff. So, wow. Okay.
So
we'll see how this fight ends.
Yes.
All right. I think that's probably the last story that we have. Yes, that's the last one. All right. So we had a marathon episode. It's about an hour and a half, which is not bad. So thank you guys for listening. Kusha, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good. See why I can't do the show by yourself. When I do the show by myself, it's like 20 minutes. And somebody was like, really? You only did 20 minutes? Come on. I'm like, well, Kusha's not here. I can't banter with myself. Say again?
By yourself. You cannot go off on a tangent by yourself.
I know, exactly, right? Then it just be like me, bitching about something, for the expression. All right. So that's all we have for today. Just some good catch up, some good stories as usual. We are on Apple Podcasts. So Apple came out with this new Apple podcasting, which I still don't understand. And they told me to apply, so I applied. And so I think the podcast is already on Apple, but I'm doing a new podcast thing. So I don't even know what that means. But we are on Apple Podcasts. You can find us by searching for What's Happening in Travel, or search for either of our names, Kerwin McKenzie or Kushro Parak. You can find us all in there.
Take it that's a good thing.
Huh?
I take it that's a good thing that you're on the Apple thing.
Well, yes. Apple is being a behemoth. Is that the right word?
Yeah. You mean like Google?
Yes. So there's also Google Podcasts, but most people who listen to this podcast just download it and listen to it, listen to the file off of their computers. But apparently, if you're not in Apple Podcasts, nobody knows about you, which is not really true, but that's what it is. I think about 60% of the market share is what they have.
Good Lord.
I know, it's crazy. But there's also, so if you have an iPhone, just search for the podcast. You can find it there and just download. And as soon as episodes are uploaded, it gets transmitted across to it. So you can get it there. So there's Apple, Google, Stitcher. Basically, anywhere there's a podcast, we're there. That's all we have. And that's it.
Until next time.
Yes. And again, thank you, Kusho. Welcome back.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. So this is episode 81, recorded Friday, June 11th. All right, folks. We'll talk soon.